All right. All right, good evening. We'll call the City of Norwich Zoning Board of Appeals for the City of Norwich for Tuesday, April 13th, 2021. We'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, Greg Schlau,
Here.
Patty Travers,
Here,
Dave Martin,
Here.
Peter Kuprak,
Here.
Mark Benjamin, present, Bob Phoenix, also present Richard Stuck and Catherine Rose, working in capacity of staff. We do have a quorum, so we can conduct
Turn that down a little.
meeting. All 5 present members will be seated, unless there is a reason they have to recuse themselves. What am I missing, Rich? Just go right into it?
Yep, go right into it. I don't have exhibit lists prepared for each of the applications, so
Can you read them then?
tell you what the exhibits are.
Well, just read them into the record, and then I don't have the
Okay,
sheet, the numbers and everything. I can bring them up on another computer.
okay, yep, I can do that when we get to there. You want me to read the public notice for you for the 2
Sure.
hearings?
Yep.
Okay. Notice is hereby given that Norwich Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on April 13th, 2021 at 7 p.m. via online Zoom meeting using Zoom technology to hear the following. B2103 2 West Ledge Drive, request a variance to zoning regulation section 6.4.1, special bulk requirements to reduce the distance between buildings in a multifamily zone from a 30-foot minimum to a 25-foot minimum. Property of West Ledge Apartments LLC, application of Alexander T. Gebby, assessor's map number 117, block 1, lot 14 in the multifamily zone. Also is V21-04 30 Maplewood Court, request a variance to zoning regulation section 4.8.5, 4.8.3, and 4.10 to expand and alter the exterior of a structure with a non-conforming residential use within the planned commercial zoning district. Also requests a relief from section 2.1 business bulk requirements to reduce the front yard setback from 65 feet to a minimum of 26 feet and reduce the side yard setback from a minimum of 50 feet to 30 feet for the construction of a 20-foot by 14-foot addition. Property of Kenneth A. Schroeder, application of Kenneth A. Schroeder, assessor's map number 122, block 1, lot 13 in the planned commercial zone. At this hearing, all interested persons may be heard and written communications received. Copies of the application and related information are available on the city website.
All right. Rich, I skipped over acceptance of the March 9th meeting minutes.
Okay,
Has everybody had a chance to review them, or do you just want to continue the acceptance of the minutes till next month?
I reviewed them.
Oh,
I looked at them, but I wasn't present last one, so I have no idea what actually happened.
Dottie
I
and
looked
Dave,
at them.
if you guys,
Okay.
I'll take a motion. on
Aye.
that.
I make a motion, we accept them from last month. Unless anyone else negates it.
I'll go ahead and second it.
Any errors, omissions, or corrections?
Hey,
Hearing none. All those in favor to grant to accept the minutes as presented? Dottie,
Aye, yes.
Dave,
Aye.
Greg?
I'm abstaining. I wasn't here. I have no idea what you guys did.
Okay, Peter? You vote to accept them as presented, Peter?
oh, yes.
And Mark Benjamin, yes, as well. So the minutes have been accepted as presented. And communications, were there anything, Rich?
none.
Okay. So under old business, we have none?
None.
All right, so new business, you read them in. Did you have any exhibits or anything you needed to present? You want me to read in 2103 first again for the record, or just move right through?
We can move to start. I can tell you what the exhibits are for
Okay,
the record. We have two site plans, which are improvement location surveys for number 2 West Ledge Drive in Norwich. Dated March 30th, 2020. And the second one is the same title, but it's got a revision date of, well, let me get to the right one. Second one has a revision date.
March 12th, 2021, Rich.
Yep, March 12th, 2021. And then we have the application, which is accompanied by photos, a narrative of what they're requesting, and photos of the utility rooms, and a picture with the distance between the utility room buildings, the buildings with the utility rooms. And I can share my screen so that if everybody wants to look at these, I can do that. Or if Brandon wants me to share the screen, I can share the screen with him.
so could we have the applicant please state their name and address for the record, what you'd like to do and why you need to do it? And anybody that's going to be speaking on behalf of the applicant, if you could all just take turns and introduce yourselves, so then I'll just call on you by name and we'll get them all in at once.
I think Mark Block, the attorney for the applicant, West Ledge Apartments LLC. We're here this evening with Brandon Hanfield, who's the project engineer, and Alexander Gebbe, the principal of West Ledge Apartments.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Mr. Whoop.
I'm just sharing my screen to show you. the
I
picture.
thought it was over all of a sudden.
No,
Whew, I just thought my computer crashed again.
You know, Rich, it would probably be a good idea to stop with this, this picture. We can just leave that up for a little bit.
yeah,
But by way of introduction, as you're all aware, the applicant is constructing a 4-building apartment complex known as West Ledge Apartments, which is on the site of the former Peachtree Apartments. By way of background, the Commission on the City Plan approved this development by approving 3 site plans. An original site plan dated October 16th of 2018, a modified site plan dated February 18th, 2020, and a further modified plan approved December 15th of 2020. There are 4 buildings presently under construction, with buildings C and D nearly complete. And as Mr. Gebbe stated prior to the meeting, building C is due hopefully for occupancy during the month of May. The foundations for buildings A and B have been poured, with the completion and occupancy anticipated in 2022. How the issue of this request for variance arose is that Franklin Surveys prepared an improvement location survey showing the foundations of buildings C and D dated March 20th of 2020, which depicted the location and dimensions of the building's foundations, which conformed to zoning regulations and the approved site plans as of the date of that survey. Then Franklin subsequently prepared a revised as-built on March 12th of 2021, again of the foundations of buildings C and D, and which revealed that the footprint of the utility rooms at the ends of the buildings, and you can see the utility rooms at the ends where it shows 26 feet to utility rooms.
Yep.
That had decreased And that was as a result of the increase in the footprint, which is less than the 30-foot minimum distance requirement of section 6.4.1 of the regulations. Buildings A and B, which have the same design, will have the same utility rooms, and the foundations having been already poured. Should the board grant the variance we're requesting would apply to buildings A and B also. So the variance that we're requesting from the special bulk requirements related to this minimum distance between the buildings in the multifamily zone, and the applicant, we can stress, meets all of the other zoning requirements except for this minimum distance requirement. And we're requesting, just to be on the safe side, as they say, a reduction from 30 feet to 25 feet. The background of this reveals the hardship that's present. The original site plan, which was the October 16, 2018 site plan, showed a 55-foot minimum distance between the buildings with no utility rooms on the end of the buildings. Then the site plan was later modified by site plan 1041M. As of the date of this site plan, there's a 46-foot distance between the original buildings, and that's what shows on your photo. Then subsequently, when the utility rooms were constructed and enlarged, or constructed, I should say, we had applied for a site plan modification. At the time of that site plan modification, there was no change to the building separation, so we thought we conformed. Then in April of 2020, NPU required certain modifications to the utility rooms and required that the interior meter disconnects adjacent to the meter bank and reconfiguration of the meter bank. This disconnect, which is shown in this photo, was required, the modification was required to assist during an emergency such as a fire. So to accommodate the NPU's requirement for the new disconnect, which is 1 foot 9 inches wide, and to then accommodate the clearances that were required, the wall of the utility room had to be extended 2 feet 6 inches. So the foundation and the building was subsequently modified in the field to accommodate the changes, but it wasn't realized till Franklin Surveys had done the survey that the change in the utility room resulted in a decrease of the building separation distance down to 26 feet. There was no other alternative for us to accommodate the NPU requirement. And as soon as we realized what had happened, this application for variance followed. We've determined that the utility rooms couldn't have been reconfigured in such a manner to adequately maintain the separating distance that was required. We couldn't lengthen the room rather than widen it. So as a result, we're here this evening, to request this minor modification in a site plan, which otherwise meets all of the zoning requirements, all of the requirements of the site plan modifications and original site plan that were approved by the commission. And I think we can all agree anyway that this construction is certainly a benefit to the city of Norwich, and it'll be a severe hardship for the applicant to have to alter or try and alter this construction, which is substantially complete and ready for occupancy. And the 4-foot separating distance, I don't think affects the functionality of the project. It doesn't increase any danger to the occupants of the building. It doesn't put the living spaces any closer. It's just an addition to accommodate the utilities. And Brandon, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
No, I think you covered it. I think the fact that the distance between the multifamily buildings and actually living units hasn't changed is the key here. The only thing that grew were the utility rooms that went from 31 feet to 26 feet.
And we can stress the original plans we had intended to build by and but for the utility requirements, it would have been constructed as per the original permits and approvals.
Mr. Block, the only question I would have right from the get-go is obviously 26 feet is plenty of spacing to get a fire truck or anything through there. But given the reason why we're rebuilding this, has this all been approved? That distance, has that been through the fire marshal's office yet? That decrease? Are they good with it? I just don't want to see us granting something that's going to contradict another city agency.
I have not passed this by the fire marshal. I don't know, Brandon, if your office has.
Not directly, but I do know the building permit process was issued for these plans, and I'm pretty sure that office is part of that review, but I'd have to defer to perhaps Richard knows.
Yeah, I didn't refer it to the fire marshal. I did verify with one of the building officials that between Norwich Public Utilities and the building official, they were the ones that instigated the enlargement of the utility rooms. But I didn't verify through the fire marshal's office.
Dave, anything?
No, I think you asked the only question I really had about it.
All right. Greg?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Peter?
No,
Dottie?
Yeah, I'm all set.
All right. So just to recap, you guys made each maintenance room 2 feet bigger to make up the required offset for the disconnect by utilities. So instead of having 30 feet, we're down to 26. And the hardship is the change in the utility code. Is that accurate?
That would be accurate, Brendan.
Is there anything else the applicant would like to add before I open it up to everyone else?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. I'll open it up to additional comment and then I'll resort back to you. Is there anyone else to speak in favor of this appeal? Oh, there I go, talking about.
Whose pager's going off?
No, it was actually a smoke detector.
Oh,
As I'm questioning fire safety, I got a smoke detector going off in my house. All right. So, as I say, the shoemaker's kids always go barefoot. All right. Anyone else to speak in favor of this appeal? Anyone else to speak in favor? Anyone else to speak in favor? Rich, do you see any hands going up or anyone in the audience?
I don't see anything. I don't see anything. Everybody but Mr. Hanfield is unmuted,
Okay.
so I think we're good to go.
All right. Is there anyone to speak in opposition? Any opposition? Any opposition? I'll give you a minute, Rich. Nobody?
Doesn't appear, no hands going up, and anybody who would like to speak can hit the unmute and unmute yourself and speak.
All right. Seeing or hearing none, Mr. Block, is there anything else you'd like to add?
The applicant has nothing further to add.
All right, thank you. Any questions before we close it? And if not, I'll take a motion to close.
Move to close by Greg.
Dottie. Second it.
Motion's made and seconded to close the hearing. All those in favor of close?
Greg, aye.
Dottie, I.
Peter, I.
Dave, aye.
And Mark Benjamin, aye. Unanimous motion to close is approved. We'll close the hearing. Move on to the next one. Just a second. So V 2104, 30 Maplewood Court, request for variance zoning regulation 4.8.5, and 4.8.3, and 4.10. Excuse me, to expand and alter the exterior of a structure of non-conforming residential use within the planned commercial zoning district. Also request relief from section 2.1 business bulk requirements to reduce the front yard setbacks from 65 feet to a minimum of 26 feet and reduce the side yard setback from a minimum of 50 feet to 30 feet for the construction of a 20 by 14 addition. Property of Kenneth Schroeder, application of Kenneth Schroeder, assessors map 122, block 1, lot 13, planned commercial zone. All right, I'll let you take it from there, Rich.
Okay, so I have the application package, which consists of the application, some photos of the front of the house where the addition would be going, and I have a couple of different sketches of the site plan. One was just the measurements to figure out where it was, the assessor's map. And that is it. So this map here is the site plan showing the location of it on the house.
Okay, so it's going in the dead center that's on the front of it.
It's going on the front of the house, and it will be, let me just change his view so we're not looking sideways at this picture.
There you go.
So it would be going on this, more to this right side of the house, encompassing the front door over to the right side.
Not quite to the tree.
It would be going 20 feet over here. I can let the applicant address
Okay.
that one.
All right, if we could have the applicant please give your name and address for the record. Explain to the board what you'd like to do and why you need to do it.
Ken Schroeder. I'm at 30 Maplewood Courts, and just looking to put a living room area on the front of the house off of we're basically where that 3-pane window is and the front door. That's about 20 feet of length, and then 14 feet out just to get a living area space that we can expand, put like maybe a TV, sofa in, that type of thing.
Okay. And why do you need a variance to do this?
Because this residential neighborhood is zoned commercial. I guess there's some other stuff around here, and that's why it's zoned that way. That's what I was told. So I applied for a variance.
Rich, anything you want to add before I?
Other than it is the planned commercial zone where that entire neighborhood was residential homes, zoned residentially, and they changed the zone, which made virtually almost anything anybody does there require variances because it is the commercial zone. And there's 3 or 4 different things here that are prohibited, expanding the non-conforming use, changing the exterior. So that's the reason, he's here, is because that zone was changed to planned commercial when the neighborhood is entirely residential.
For the record, Rich, if this was still commercial the way it used to be, would all this fit in the requirements?
If it was still residential,
Residential, yeah.
I mean, let's see here. I would, yeah, I would say if it was the R20, I think it would still comply.
All right. It's just a quick, we've seen a number of these over here, and it's the same question I ask each time. Basically, when the city changed the zoning to attempt to build this as commercial, it made every property owner, as you said, requires a variance to do anything they want, to do any expansion at all. And the neighborhood is residential. It's going to remain residential in the near future, I think. And it's unfortunately, it's an unfair burden put on them because the rest of the commercial planning never happened with the cemetery behind them. So as long as it's consistent with a residential neighborhood, I'm typically in favor of these types of plans. But I just wanted to make sure it was conforming with what everybody else is doing in that neighborhood or in that zone within the city. Dave, any questions or comments?
If I'm looking at this right, virtually the entire house is non-conforming to the setback requirement.
Correct.
Just a little sliver on the back side. So even if he was going to put this on the back side, it would still
Yes,
need the same variance.
correct.
Okay.
Dottie?
I'm all set.
Peter?
I'm set.
Greg?
I'm good, thank you.
Mr. Schroeder, anything you'd like to add?
Nope, thanks for hearing my appeal, my variance.
All right. All right. As I did with the last application, I'm going to ask if there's any people to speak in favor or in opposition. Is there anyone to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in favor? Rich, anyone?
No hands are going up, and I don't see anybody unmuting their mics.
Okay. Is there anyone to speak in opposition? Any opposition? Any opposition? Still no one?
Still no one.
All right. Hearing no comments from abutting or concerned citizens. Mr. Schroeder, last chance. Anything else to add?
Nope.
The board, anybody have any questions? If
No.
not, could I get a motion to close?
Move to close, Mr. Chairman, from Greg.
Motion-
I second it, Dottie.
Motion made and seconded by Greg, motion made by Greg Schlauer, seconded by Dottie Travers. All those in favor to grant?
Greg, aye.
Peter, I.
Dottie, I.
Dave, I.
Mark Benjamin, aye. Hey, Bob Phoenix, good to see you. All right. Meeting's been unanimous to close. We'll go right into the decision. We'll go back to Just a second. Working two devices here so I can read them both. V 2103 to West Ledge Drive, request for variance. Zoning regulation 6.4.1, special bulk requirements, reduce distance between buildings in a multifamily zone from a 30-foot minimum to a 25-foot minimum. Property of West Ledge Apartments LLC, application of Alexander Gebbie, Assessors Map 117, Block 1, Lot number 14, multifamily zone. Could get a motion, please?
Dottie, I make a motion that we discuss this.
I'll second it, Greg.
Dottie, can we say that was a motion to grant for discussion?
Well, discussion and grant combination, I guess. First thing is discussion.
Okay. All right, motion is made to grant, seconded by Greg Schlau, and it's open for discussion. Dottie, your motion, go for it.
I don't, well, due to the problems that they had to alter it. I can understand why it had to be altered due to the location and the code requirements. That the owner had no choice but to do the distance, reduce the distance of it between the apartment buildings. And then apply it to the next two buildings that are going to be built. So I don't know if anyone wants to add to what I'm saying.
Greg, sorry, you're gonna speak, Mark?
I was just gonna ask her if that was part of her motion, that the hardship was the change in the electrical code to require that spacing.
Yeah, that's what I felt, that it was electrical code. They had no other choice.
Okay. Greg, that was your second. Are you okay with that being?
Oh,
part
I'm
of your
perfectly
second?
fine with that.
Okay.
I have to agree with Dottie on it. You know, because they had to change it because of public utilities. I understand the concern of the fire marshal. But the fire marshal originally approved everything when it was done. And I'm sure, as you stated, Mr. Chairman, that, you know, fire apparatus can get through there. I don't think the fire marshal will have a real issue because it appears to be more safety and fire preventive doing what they're doing now. And unfortunately, they had to expand because of something that came up. So I have no issues with this.
Peter? Any
No,
comment?
NPU said something had to be done and the West Ledge complied with it. And just what, 10 feet difference from the old, so we've got to grant it.
It's actually only 4, Peter.
It's only 4, yeah.
Right.
It was
Dave?
30, right?
Right. Dave?
Yeah, 4 foot.
The main part of the building meets the requirement, and the change occurred after, you know, the request or requirement from MPU changed after they started pouring the foundations. So that's kind of what they had to do to meet the safety requirements.
No, I agree. And my question, only because of my other job, I have to ask that question, you know, just an awareness. And Rich answered it. It was handled through the building department. So I'm comfortable with granting this. The project's coming along nicely. And I'd hate to see anything slow it down over 4 feet. That is a code requirement. So I'll be voting to grant this. So hearing that, all those in favor to grant? Dottie?
Aye.
Greg?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Mark Benjamin, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen. Keep up the good work. And as you're aware, 15-day appeal period. Don't build a building or anything within 4 feet, for 15 days. All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. We'll move on to the 15 days. Stop in and see Rich and get the thing so you can file it. PLV 2104 Maplewood Court request for variant zoning regulation 4.8.5, 4.8.3, 4.10 to expand and alter the exterior of a structure with a non-conforming residential use within the planned commercial zoning district. Also request relief from section 2.1 business bulk requirements to reduce the front yard setback from 65 feet to a minimum of 26 feet and reduce the side yard setback from a minimum of 50 feet to 30 feet for the construction of a 20-foot by 14-foot addition. Property of Kenneth Schroeder, application of Kenneth Schroeder, Assessors Map 122, Block 1, Lot 13, Planned Commercial Zone.
I move to open up for discussion, Mr. Chairman, for possible granting.
Yeah,
you.
second it.
All right. You opened it for discussion, Mr. Schlau, so.
I unfortunately, I have to agree with you in your comment you made when we were talking about this. It's, these guys were like thrown into the wolves. It was a nice residential area and all of a sudden, let's just zone it commercial and wipe you right out. So it's, I don't see anything that they're doing there. It's gonna be a real issue. And as Richard said, it would conform if the codes were back the way they were supposed to be. So I see no issue with granting this.
Yeah, this is Dottie. I agree with Greg on that. Due to the regulations, there is no choice. I don't know. It's commercial. You could do what basically you want to, whether it's his property or the neighbor's. So under the circumstances, it shouldn't be a problem. It should be granted.
Greg, in your motion, that was a motion to grant with the hardship being the change in the zoning, the city changing the zoning district within that area. Is that what you were trying to?
Yeah, thank you for throwing it. Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Okay. Dottie, it was your second. You're agreeing with that?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Greg. Definitely.
Dave, any comments?
Just that, the existing house now is non-conforming due to that change, and even if you attach it to the backside, it would still require this variance. So it's not like they can put it somewhere and be in compliance. So yeah, I'm in favor of this variance.
Peter?
No, I don't. I've got a question, but I'll save it for after. It's not regarding this.
Okay.
It is what it is. I have no problem with it. Grant it. I'll vote to grant.
Bob, you came in late. Any comments?
You gotta wake him up.
Still can't hear you, Bob.
Can't hear you, Bob. He's unmuted, but I can't hear him.
I can't hear him either.
He's a mute. Better put that back in the airplane you took it out of. Sorry.
Gotta love technology.
Too. All right.
It's not plugged in. No, I'm talking about somebody else here.
Well,
John, one more thing.
One more item. How's that?
now
Very
we
That
got,
worked.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I got a podcast set up and I had my microphone off. Sorry. Mark, I agree with you 100%. This is exactly the situation we've been dealing with this community since the zoning change that went to commercial. All of the buildings within all of the existing buildings that are within the zone, within the commercial zone, are made non-conforming. So if anybody even wants to change a front door or back door, they're going to have to come before us with an appeal. Again, it's just something I think the commission as the zoning authority should have thought about and made some sort of retroactive provision. But yeah, if I were to vote, if I could vote on this, I would approve this without a doubt.
thanks, Bob. It's as I say it on each one of these, I'm sympathetic to the applicant. You know, he's $500-600 deep into doing something that should have been a $25 $25 zoning variance, plus the regular building permit fees. So it's with the change that happened behind them, I don't see that neighborhood going commercial. I think the city as a whole, we've talked about this before, the council as the zoning authority of the city should look to change this back for the applicants over there. It's a residential neighborhood that appears residential, and I think it's unfortunate for him to have to go through this process, and I think it's only right that we be granting these variances because it's no fault of his. If anything, it's unfortunate for him in two parts. A, he has to get a variance to do anything. And B, since it's not really going commercial, he's not getting the benefit of a commercial property. You know, he's sitting on a commercial property that he has to fight to use as a residential neighborhood. So for all those reasons, I will be voting to grant this. So starting with any other comments? Dottie, it was your motion. Dottie?
Oh, Greg's motion. Yes, definitely. I second it. Greg gave it. He was the
Greg?
first on a motion.
I move to grant, yes. I vote aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Mark Benjamin, aye. Motion passed unanimously. Mr. Schroeder, as I told the previous applicant, there's a 15-day appeal period that you can't do anything prior to that. And once the appeal period's up, stop in and see Rich. He'll help you get it filed, and then you can proceed with your building plans.
Thank you.
All right. Before I move on, Peter, you said you had a question?
Yeah, the question is, why do we, with this mess over there on Maplewood, every time somebody comes in, they spend money they shouldn't have to spend. Is there anything? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, Peter, I agree with you.
Why can't we get the council to change this thing?
Well, that was going to be my question. Is there any way that we can run this back up the flagpole to the council and have them consider consider a waiver of the fee?
Yeah, that should be done. It's crazy.
But is it within our purview to do that, or does that have to come from
Anybody
someone
can
else?
ask them to do that.
I think that would have to go to the city manager's office, and then from the city manager to the council. It is in our list of things to address, and it's the way it's written into the regulations A lot of communities allow people to expand non-conforming use buildings up to 50% of the value. Most of these that we have, what catches it here is the verbiage that says if it structurally alters the exterior of the building. So an addition, by nature is going to structurally alter the exterior of the building. But it is in the list, and unfortunately, the way the zoning is set up in Norwich, the council is the zoning authority, and our regulations aren't just the regulations; they're in the code of ordinances. So it's very costly. It could be $3,500 to $5,000 just to change one paragraph of the regulations. So we're trying to do, and we've got so much other going on, we haven't been able to really focus on it, but we're trying to do something somewhat comprehensive to get a lot of the little bugs that are in the regulations sorted out.
The other answer to your question, Peter, we talked about this before. Although that $500 and $600 fee is excessive, and Rich, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but most of that fee is the advertising and everything. It's not really like the city's making darn near a nickel on this, correct?
Correct. Typically we lose based on the costs of the publications in the newspapers. With the COVID, it's a little bit different because we don't have to publish it in the newspaper, and they're actually trying to change the state legislation to allow moving forward, not requiring publications in the newspaper, only putting the publications on the city website. And then at that point, also the notifications to the abutters.
Does that answer it? Does that
Were you
answer?
talking to me, Mark?
Yeah, I was asking if
Yeah,
that.
I understand it's the advertisement. Yeah,
But-
but I mean, even that's ridiculous.
I don't know. You know anybody that works at City Hall you could talk to, Peter?
I sure do.
It's actually the state level.
Okay.
The legislation.
I sure do.
For the notices at the state level.
All right. All right.
Well, I know somebody at the state level too. Lots of connection.
Any other business, other matters, Rich?
No, I think we're good. I don't know if you noticed, I changed on the agenda where it did say other matters or other business. I changed it to staff updates because technically we shouldn't have other business on a zoning board of appeals agenda because there shouldn't be any other business other than staff updates. So I changed it, if you noticed that.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have anything? Hearing none, it's nice to see you all again. And any speculation on when we're gonna do this in person yet?
I'm hearing rumors, and I've heard from other towns too, and I'm hearing rumors in Norwich. It's going to be they're going to open up in the beginning of April.
They are in April.
Or May, sorry. They're going to open up in the beginning of May.
I was
There's
waiting for
still-
2022 following that April.
Yeah, and there's still some confusion. They moved us out of our building into the town hall or city hall. And there was still some confusion on the actual room or conflict. And basically my understanding is if there's a conflict, even though we have the room in our agenda, we're going to have to move. So I'm going to have to figure that out because then it's going to become a special meeting. It's going to be more of a pain.
Okay. All right, sorry I asked.
That's okay. I would have rather stayed where we were.
All right, if there's nothing else, if I could get a motion to close.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, Peter said it, I'll second it.
Yeah, it's
All
good.
those in favor to adjourn?
Aye, Greg.
Aye, Dottie.
All right, Peter.
Dave, aye.
Mark Benjamin, aye. Meeting adjourned 8:07.
Good. I want to apologize for my tardiness. Working all